Hey everyone, hope you're keeping well. So I thought I'd start this year off by doing another tutorial on audio routing, but this one's a little bit more advanced. Now, as this is a pretty niche subject that I'm going to cover, I'm going to try and keep it relatively short. Okay, so if you're relatively new to seeing these videos, I started a tutorial series last year basically showing people how to get more out of their range mixers, but this applies to Pioneer mixers and also Reloop mixers as well. And also, if this is your first time seeing the tutorials, please do the like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. It helps people see this more. Now, on the modern mixers, they don't have sends and returns. The older mixers like the 62 does, and some of the Pioneer mixers as well. But on the modern ones, they don't have that option, so this is kind of like a little hack around that basically. So the thing I'm going to cover is how to route the audio from Serato using your mixer into Ableton Live, and then have that audio coming from Ableton back onto the mixer itself, and then that will come out onto your system. Okay, so when doing this, you can open up many doors for, say, production stuff, or even possibly more routines, or live performances as well. Now, before we get started on this, I want to go over some history. So some of the first DJs I kind of know that have done this before is DJ Vect from Canada, DJ Fly from France, and also John Type from Italy. Possibly Chris Carnes as well, but I'm unsure, because listening to, I think it was a podcast with Esquire, he was talking about using an echo effect on the mixer and just changing the milliseconds. So that is unsure, but I'll also leave that video in there as well. So to get started, here's Vect.
Remix a track into that funk. 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 Into that funk.
So here's DJ Fly's routine.
Better, stronger, faster.
And here's John Type's routine. Okay, so here's Chris Carnes' routine. I have also used this as well, so here's my routine. Okay, so the common theme that most of these videos have is they're all using a vocoder effect. But if you use in Ableton, you could chuck Max for Live devices on there, you could use all sorts of stuff. Okay, so I'll show you how to get started with this. Okay, to get started, we need to recap some preferences in Ableton Live. So what I'd recommend doing is creating 2 audio channels. For this, we already have 2 created. And perhaps deleting MIDI, but you know, depends how deep you want to get with this. So Command and comma or Control and comma brings up preferences, and you want to have the input device set to your mixer and the output device set to your mixer. Now from this you want to go to input config, and you want to select 7 and 8, which is left channel, 9 and 10 right channel. Now the range 72 and 70 are similar to the routing on the S11 and the S7. The S9 is going to be a little bit different, and if you're on an older mixer such as the 57 Mark II, the 57 perhaps even, and even the 62, this is going to look a lot different, but just, you know, go through and check which channel is which basically. Okay, so I've got 7 and 8 selected, 9 and 10 selected, so I'm going to go ahead and press OK. So that's input left channel 7 and 8, input right channel 9 and 10. Output configuration, I have 1 and 2 selected for sometimes when I'm not necessarily doing this stuff. I could just have it coming out of my mixer and that'll be left channel. But 5 and 6, I would recommend selecting this because that will come out again onto the sampler section on your mixer, and then that routes to the master, and you know that goes to main, booth, session out. Okay, select yes or OK, and then another thing you may need for this is the buffer size on the latency section. So depending on how powerful your computer is, I would recommend having this on possibly 128 samples to 256. 256 is fine, 128 is, you know, better, but my computer can handle it, so I have it at 128. Then you go to the master section, so the master channel in Ableton, and then you have master out to 5 and 6. Okay, so now that will send the audio from Ableton Live to your sample section, and then from the sample section it goes to your master. Okay, now for making this easier, I'm going to have channel 1 as left deck, and channel 2 right, and because I'm a little bit over the top of this, I'm going to go white and red to make it easier for myself. Alright, now these are set up, they're ready to go. Now to get the audio coming from Serato, I need to get this coming into Ableton Live. So I'm going to make these, I'm going to go to audio from, and you want to select external in, okay, because that's going to go from your mixer into Ableton. Now I'm going to select 7 and 8 for left, 9 and 10 for right, and you want the monitoring to be set to in, okay. Now that's going to monitor the sound as it's coming into Ableton Live. So I'm going to play a song quickly, and you'll hear it's coming through twice. Now if I select the monitoring to auto, it's a lot cleaner, but if I select it to in, you can hear it's coming through twice, one's slightly delayed. Okay, so that means you've got the signal coming through twice. Now what the goal is for this is to isolate the audio from Serato, okay, but for some reason, because Serato's effects are post-fader now, the audio still goes into Ableton even though Serato effect is enabled. So I'm going to go to Serato, and for this you want to use the effect clean echo out, okay. Clean echo out gets rid of gets rid of Serato's audio, and then it just comes through Ableton. Now with things such as stems coming into place, this could be, you know, this could open up a massive avenue for a lot of creativity, because you could have, for example, acapellas, run them through all kinds of effects in Ableton or all kinds of stuff. Okay, so I want to go back into Ableton, and I'm going to select that back to monitoring in, and monitoring in for the left side as well. On the mixer, I'm going to choose clean echo out, and when I select the effect, you'll see it will still be running in Ableton. You can hear the audio is still coming through. Now, if I, for example, put a, let's just chuck a random Ableton effect here, vocoder, right? Seeing as though we mentioned that before. I'm on the right channel, select vocoder, okay? I'll put the thing onto pitch tracking, and I'm going to introduce the dry wet, okay? So right now, nothing's affecting it. Introducing the dry wet. Not very effective right now. There we go. So as I'm scratching it, you can hear it's being affected by the Ableton VST. Now, I'm going to delete that, and you'll hear the sound coming through again. Normal, unaffected. Okay, so that is how you get the audio into Ableton Live with Serato isolated. Okay, the only downside of this is you have to have the effects latch on at all times on the mixer. Okay, talked about Max for Live, so I'll go into Max for Live. Let's have a look. So I want to know, let's say a granular effect. So I'm going to go to, I was messing with this the other day, but let's say grain freeze. Okay, grain freeze, where is it? There it is. So I'm going to chuck grain freeze onto the right channel, and with this currently being active, I've got just a random sample in. Okay, now as it stands at the moment, I've got my push 2 on as well. Well, I've got a push 2 on, and I want to, for example, I'm going to capture some audio from the right channel and say I want to manipulate it using the push. Alright, so I have an audio effects rack. Now I'm going to drag and drop the grain freeze into there, and I'm going to macro map some of these parameters, should I say, not effects. I'm going to select ready, map it to there, position, map it to there, grain, map it to there, perhaps spray to the same one, and tune, map it to another one. Okay, and then from this point I'm going to make sure freeze, actually no, don't, okay, unmap. Okay, so when I go onto the audio effect, like so, these will be active. So when I select, I'm going to have this macro control up to about halfway, and when you see I turn it past a certain point, it activates the freeze. Okay, now I'm going to have this coming on. Okay, so now that is captured. So that's captured audio from Ableton, and that's from the decks as well. From this I could, for example, add some reverb or something. And you can hear that is affected as well. So that could be cool for example, say I wanted to do some kind of changeovers or, you know, transitions from something, that's possible. And that concludes this tutorial. Thank you for watching, hope you got something from this.